Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to Inside the Newsroom. I'm Maddie Paul. Inside the Newsroom, we bring you the trending stories of the KELOLAND area, and the best part of all is that we bring in our newsroom staff members to talk about these trending stories that they create every day for you on KELOLAND News and KELOLAND.com. We have a full fleet of stories today. Yesterday, we ended the show on a sweet note, and today we are starting the show on an even sweeter note. So, Miracle Treat Day is a Dairy Queen fundraiser that took place yesterday, last night, and sending $1 of each blizzard sold to children's hospitals across the country. And our reporter, Julia Lynn, looked at how that impact hits right here in the KELOLAND area.
There's never a wrong time for ice cream.
Cheers.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Especially on a day like today. Levi and his mom, Michelle Bartman, stopped by the Dairy Queen on 57th Street to support a cause that's close to their family.
Levi had just turned 1, and we received a cancer diagnosis.
In 2021, Levi spent 7 months at Sanford Children's Castle undergoing treatment. His mom, Michelle, says the efforts made through the Children's Miracle Network made a huge impact.
People to come into the room and support him when he was being poked and prodded, and the child life people that came in and just helped him through the hard times, helped me through the hard times, helped our family be a family unit.
But despite his lengthy hospital stay, Levi remained strong.
You would have never known that he was going through anything. He's always been a people person. He loves to talk to people. He says hi to anybody that we come across.
No matter how many blizzards are sold today, staff at the Dairy Queen want people to know the impact even a few can have.
Even if we just sell 4 coupons or 4 blizzards, that's a meal voucher for a family at the hospital. So just even 4 is a massive impact on people.
It might seem like such a simple little thing, but it impacts in such a major way this day.
Julia Lynn joins us now at the digital desk to talk more about this story. Julia, what a sweet and special story that you just served us. In your opinion, what makes sharing stories like Levi's and his family's just so important, especially for our area?
Yeah, I think anytime you report on kind of these community fundraiser events, it's always nice to see kind of what those dollars, who they're impacting, and, you know, it could be your neighbor down the street. This family I talked to is from T, South Dakota, so not too far from Sioux Falls. And meeting Levi, I mean, you saw in the story, he is just the cutest thing ever.
Sweet kid.
And yeah, he was diagnosed with cancer right after he turned 1 year old. So, I mean, as you can imagine, already having a new baby, that can be stressful on top of a sickness. So he was diagnosed at 1 year old. He spent about 7 months at the Sanford Children's Castle, and then he was released around December 2021. So now he's 5 years old, and he is in remission. And as you can see, he's bubbly, running around. He was, of course, happy to have a few blizzards yesterday.
Oh, so he's in remission now. Is there anything else that you learned about Levi that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I spent about an hour with him, and he was running around. They had Superman masks, so he was putting those on. He was loving all the swag from DQ, and everyone was, loving him up. He was no stranger to anyone. He would go up, high fives, fist bumps, cheering around. So, yeah, definitely, you wouldn't be able to tell, just like his mom said. I mean, he is super bubbly and happy as ever, is excited to start kindergarten in the fall, they said.
Oh, exciting. It's so exciting for Levi and for his family. And, for us to see really where those dollars go. As you were at the Dairy Queen and shooting video inside of there, what was the atmosphere and the environment like? And then what kind of visuals did you want to grab for our viewers so that they could really understand the shape of this story?
Yeah, so Dairy Queen tells me this is one of their biggest events, throughout the whole year. So they had balloons, they had, decorations, they had, staff from out of town. Dairy Queen headquarters came, giving out little pins and everything. So they definitely made it a big deal. I know other Dairy Queens around the area, they had bouncy houses right outside. Definitely making a big deal out of this day because the impact it has, not just in Sioux Falls, but across the country, partnering with Children's Miracle Network Hospital. So they definitely showed out for their community, which was great to see. And speaking with some community members as well, wasn't on camera, but I mean, people that were still there supporting, buying, dozens of blizzards at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see other people in the community also support.
Well, your visuals are so fun because it's Levi smiling. It's a very happy, hopeful vibe. And especially because we're seeing the workers interact with him and the family just eating their sweet treats and just being together. And that's the takeaway I got, was just the togetherness of it. So what was your goal as you were putting this story together?
Yeah, I think every time I try to tell stories, whether it's someone in the hospital, a kid or whatnot, you really kind of want to show them when they were, going through that, to give the audience a better idea of kind of their journey through whatever it's treatments or, before or after. So I think, starting the story with showing Levi how bubbly it is, and then kind of taking the viewer back of, this is what he looked like going through the hospital visits, his lengthy stay, and then ending it, of course, on a sweet note of him smiling, running around. So viewers can really get a better idea of who Levi is, who the family was my goal, to just really give them an inside scoop.
You really served it to us. Now I have to ask, we have to end on this note. What's your favorite blizzard?
I talked about this a lot yesterday. So my favorite is chocolate chip cookie dough.
Okay, that's what I said too yesterday.
Levi's is cookies and cream. But that one's a good one too.
Is that like an Oreo-based one?
Yes, I think Oreos. Another favorite they had was birthday cake. So
I'm surprised Levi didn't go for the Superman one, especially because he was wearing all the gear.
Right,
the blue.
right.
I think that blizzard is supposed to be blue or something too, which is like, I don't know, just so special and fun. Julia, is there anything else you'd like to share about your story?
Yeah, I think whenever we do these stories, we try our best as reporters to really capture the personalities of these individuals we're sharing about. So I really hope I did that with this story. And it was always, of course, nice to meet people in the community, especially with a sweet impact like this.
Oh. Well, Julia, thank you so much for coming to the digital desk and sharing your experience. And stay with us, viewers, because up next we are looking at the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, but we're looking at some important state crash numbers and what DPS wants you to know about attending this rally, especially if you're riding. Stay with us. We'll have a reporter join us next after the break. And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. Now, the Department of Public Safety, or DPS, wants to educate riders for the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally that starts today on Friday, August 1st. And they want to educate these riders for their own safety. Our digital reporter, Ray Yost, joins me now to talk about this because she spoke to DPS. And Ray, I want to start off by asking, summertime must be super busy for DPS with lots of travelers coming through. But what did you learn about August and summertime specifically?
Well, August is particularly busy. One, because, summer's when we can ride motorcycles. So, even I had to kind of stop and say, oh yeah, that's right. It's summer, so it's going to be busy.
Yep.
But then you add the caveat, like you mentioned, the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, and that will bring at least 400,000 attendees. So you figure, between 400,000, 500,000 attendees, and most of those will be on motorcycles. Some of it will be double motorcycles, or two people on a motorcycle. So that adds the extra traffic and the extra caveat that's kind of particular to South Dakota this time of year, and that means in the Sturgis area, but also crossing the state on our interstates and state highways.
And DPS told you that this is a particularly big challenge that they see during this time, right?
Yeah, it's a big challenge in just the sheer numbers, because we think of the rally lasting roughly 10 days. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the motorcyclists, a good portion come out before. So there's a several day in advance, and some of them stick around after. So it's really probably evolved into almost a 2-week or a little bit longer event. Oh. So the challenge is a good share of these Sturgis riders do come from South Dakota, roughly, 20, 21%, depending on the year. But a lot of them come from neighboring states. Now, some of them are going to be experienced because they may go to Sturgis every other year, or maybe they do the Black Hills a couple times a year. But there's going to be an element of riders who aren't as experienced riding in the Black Hills.
That's a great point.
Yeah, so that creates a challenge in terms of just maybe those riders who are younger or even older and maybe not as familiar with the curvy routes that are so popular and just the sheer traffic.
Wow.
Because we think of maybe South Dakota sometimes as rural, but when you think of tourist season and then you add Sturgis, it's pretty busy on those roads.
So what kind of crash numbers, like motorcycles specifically, did you hear from DPS, whether it was crash related or injury related?
So I look back, most of the latest data for the statewide is there were 29 fatalities in 2023. That's through the whole year. And then 2024 specifically attached to Sturgis during that time, they had 3 fatalities. But when you go back and look at that maybe extended time, and you don't look specifically at the Sturgis Rally and perhaps people coming back and forth, that really increased to 12 fatalities in 2024. The DPS said were linked to the rally. And again, that's maybe not in Sturgis proper or that area proper, but it can be people coming back to and from the rally or a little bit extended out. So when you think of 29 fatalities in one given year, and then you maybe attach those 3, I mean, 1 fatality is too many, but you add those 3, and then you add, injury accidents or injury crashes on top of that. It doesn't take long where things add up. You're looking at double-digit crashes. You're looking at triple-digit. A motorcycle crash, and there were 333 injuries in 2023.
Wow.
Yeah, so... and we're seeing as population increases, there's also an increase in the number of licensed motorcycle drivers too.
So how does DPS want to promote motorcycle safety then, especially during this time?
Yeah, they have a website called Ride Safe South Dakota. And on that, it's really pretty cool. It's interactive. They do a little thing about checking your gear, why certain gear is important, from the leather to the helmet. And then they do a thing where you can map your route. So you can kind of familiarize some of the popular routes. Look at that. You see that right there? I think that's on Needles Highway. Pretty slow. And then just look at the traffic to and from. I mean, those are the kind of things that are very common. But if maybe you're not as familiar, you might be coming in a little hotter, a little faster and going, ooh, yeah. So they're doing things like, hey, this is the route you need to familiarize with. This is, things that we want you to do in advance. Then they also say on that website, talk to the locals. So they're sometimes the best resource out there, or people who've been back to Sturgis maybe multiple times. They can give you advice about, watch out for wildlife at this time of day, those kinds of things.
Wow, that's great insight and a great website for a resource. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about creating your story or anything else that you think our riders should be aware of? I think it's just... we tend to look at numbers as just numbers sometimes, but when you put that in context, it's just that, we only have a limited amount out here of time to ride motorcycles. So that we're not really looking at a full, not most people don't ride their motorcycles 12 months out of the year. So if you look at 300 or so crashes a year, that's nearly one every day. If you look in 12-month span, but you condense that down to maybe 6 months or whatever that's suitable for riding, or when most people ride, it's really kind of, it gives it a little more weight, I think. Yeah, I agree with you. Thank you for offering that perspective and giving all these details here at the Digital Desk, Ray.
Sure.
And stay with us, viewers, because up next, we're showing you a fun way to use the Big Sioux River. Our reporter is joining us next after the break. Welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. Now, one Sioux Falls business is giving people a new way to float down the Big Sioux River, and the whole idea is to be relaxed. Our reporter, Sydney Hoyer, is joining me now at the Digital Desk to talk more about SoDak FloatShack. But before we start, we have to provide some context because this is an Ion KELOLAND story. So, Sydney, how would you define the difference between an Ion KELOLAND story versus something that we see every day on an evening newscast?
Yeah, so Ion KELOLANDs are usually a little bit longer than your regular stories, and they're also more of a deep dive into one specific thing across the KELOLAND area.
And how does Ion KELOLAND stories help you as you begin to write your stories?
I feel like I learn things about the area every time I do an I, because when I'm looking for ideas, I didn't know this business existed until I went and was looking for a topic to do an I on, and so I always get to learn about things in the area as well.
And we're talking about the SoDak FloatShack. What exactly is that?
So they take these stock tanks, which you generally see like cattle drinking out of, and they have taken these and put them on the water with some lawn chairs, life jackets, and then a cooler. And people can come there and get inside of these and float a few miles down the river.
It sounds so funny that it was something that cattle can drink out of, but now you can just go ahead and ride down. It seems like a Midwest staple, but in the form of some fun. What was kind of the vibe that you were getting off of when you went down and witnessed this for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like this business they very much identify themselves as a small business, and they're very proud of that. They work with other small businesses, and they definitely have that Midwestern feel, like you were saying. I feel like that tying in something that cattle used to drink out of really does emphasize the Midwesternness of this.
Did it shock you when you first saw it?
Yeah, I actually had to ask. I was like, what are we putting people in? Like, what is this? And they had to explain it to me too, yeah.
So is this something that you've heard that they've started for themselves here, or is it they got inspiration from something else? It just seems so innovative in a way, just like something creative and fun.
Yeah, so they'd said a few other places they'd seen do something similar at least. And then after they started their business, another place in the area started a business as well. So it seems that they're also inspiring other people.
Excellent. And you talked to the owner, and who else did you talk to for the story?
A woman who was going down in one of these stock tanks for the first time. She had found out about them on Facebook, and she had gotten a couple of friends, and they were taking a ride down the Big Sioux.
And watching your video, they did seem pretty relaxed while they were in there. I feel like I'd be nervous. I'd be like screaming. I'd be like, ah. So how was their first ride?
Yeah, it looked like they were having fun. I didn't get to see them at the very end of it because it is a few miles down the river. But as far as I could see them go, they seemed to be having a good time. They had brought some snacks. They were ready to relax and get a tan, is what she told me.
Did you go in yourself?
I did not get to go in this time, but I would love to.
I would have loved to see a stand up in there as you're just spinning around in this little shack. I thought that it's just so fascinating. And the fact that it's supposed to be relaxing too, in a way to utilize the Big Sioux River. When you were talking to the owner of the SoDak FloatShack, how did they want people to use the Big Sioux River through this?
So they mentioned how you could kayak down the Big Sioux, but that requires a lot more work. Same as if you were canoeing, you have to paddle. And so when you're in this, the idea is that the river should, for the most part, take you down. All you have to do is maybe keep yourself away from the banks a little bit, which is why they give you some paddles. But otherwise, you just sit there and the river takes you off and you don't have to do any work.
Such a fun summer activity. Was there anything else that surprised you as you were filming your visuals or interviewing everyone?
Well, I will say their launch site, I didn't realize everything was back there. So they launched from Archery Outfitters, which is a business they're partnering with for this. And at the back of this archery site, there's this access to the Big Sioux River. And they said that pretty much everyone they have come through there gets there and says that they didn't even know that archery site was back there. So that was really interesting to me too, because there's just so much land and it's within the city.
And because this was an Eye on KELOLAND story and you had less time constraints to create this story, did you find that helpful for this piece?
Yeah, for sure. I was able to then find a time when they were going to have customers there, which is what I really wanted, was to speak with someone who was going to actually be going out on the river. And so I think that was super helpful to supporting the story.
And is there anything else that you'd like to share about creating this story or what you saw out on the scene?
I mean, I guess with Eye on KELOLAND, since they're longer, you have to get more footage, more interview, all of that kind of thing. And so it was kind of fun to play around with my camera and get some cool shots of close up of them, far away, get some shots of even the archery site there. So I just got to play around with that.
Awesome. Well, Sydney, thank you so much for sharing these details right here at the digital desk. And everyone stick around. We're going to show you some weekend fun when we come back after the break. Well, this may be all the time we have for Inside the Newsroom, but are you looking for some weekend fun? Well, the Sioux Empire Fair kicks off today at the W.H. Lyon Fairgrounds. Now, vendors and fairground staff have been working very hard, even through some difficult weather, to prepare for this 9-day event, August 1st through August 9th. And this year, all of the concerts are free. Isn't that exciting? Free with that general admission. So free concerts with general admission. And we've actually posted all the information about the fair under this story, what you need to know ahead of the Sioux Empire Fair at KELOLAND.com. So make sure you head over to KELOLAND.com by scanning that QR code that you see on your screen right now, and you could read all about that story. And thank you so much, everyone, for watching Inside the Newsroom. I hope you had a great Friday, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend as we continue to enjoy the cooler weather, clean up from all that severe weather that we saw earlier, keep learning about the community impacts we've been seeing throughout this week. And I just thank you all again for watching Inside the Newsroom. Until next time, have a great weekend, everyone.